Today I'm going to tell you about the most famous leg lock in philosophy's history. Whether you're somebody that's dealing with a permanent disability or you're part of the rest of the human family, at some point in your life, you're going to go through difficulty, you're going to go through suffering, you're going to go through challenging times. Absolutely nobody is exempt, so it's important to know how to deal with these times when they do come. And one of those ways is to adopt the right mindset, the right way to think about every single thing that happens to us, good or bad. Today I'm going to tell you about one man who was not only in a bad situation, but also became permanently disabled due to an unfortunate event, but still he went on to become somebody that was highly sought after and inspired rulers and many great men and women throughout history. One of the things he said about his disability, and for all of us to remember, is that a physical disability is that of the body, not of the mind. I'm Edgar Ortega, handsome blind guy. I'm legally blind and I make videos talking about what it's like living with vision loss. I also make videos for everyone so that you can adopt skills and strategies so that you can get through any situation in life, to strengthen your mind so that you can weather any storm and come out stronger on the other side, no matter what it is. And then we can live to our fullest potential and help other people do the same. If you support positive content like this, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get updates when I upload new videos, and give this video a thumbs up. Leave any comments or questions in the comments section. During the early days of the Roman Empire, there lived a man named Epictetus, and Epictetus was a slave. It was customary at the time to keep slaves until they were about the age of 30 before they were freed. Now, Epictetus was one of these slaves, and he lived and served in the court of Emperor Nero, one particularly nasty emperor in history. And one of his secretaries was also not that great of a guy, and he was the master, the owner, whatever you want to call it, of this man, Epictetus. And for whatever reason, one day, he took Epictetus and grabbed him by the leg and got a leg lock on him, right? I like jujitsu, so I use these jujitsu terms, but essentially this is what happened. He put Epictetus in a leg lock and he started cranking that leg, cranking it and cranking it. Epictetus said to him, "If you keep doing that, you're going to break my leg. My leg is going to break if you don't stop." But still, his master, his cruel master, started cranking that leg more and more and more and snapped Epictetus's leg, and for the rest of his life he lived with this injury. He limped for the rest of his life, probably from this event. So not only was Epictetus now a slave in King Nero's court, but he was also disabled. So you can imagine having to do your work with this bum leg now, with your disabled leg now for the rest of his life. Now, Epictetus is known for his adoption of Stoic philosophy and his contribution to Stoic philosophy, and that's really what got him through the situation, because he was able to be in the company of wealthy, powerful men who should otherwise be happy and healthy, but they were not. He saw that their minds were not at ease. They did not have peace of mind. They were not happy. They would constantly complain about whatever it was in their lives. And yet here he was, in this low position as a slave and disabled, a disabled one at that, and yet he found a way where he could be happier than these rich, powerful men living in the Roman Empire. So Epictetus went on to inspire through his philosophy great men and women throughout history, including future Emperor Hadrian and then future Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, if you think of stoicism, he's probably the first guy you think of. He was the philosopher king, the emperor king, right? The emperor philosopher, rather. And he's well known for his writings called Meditations. Meditations is the most famous writing by any sort of ruler throughout history. And so if you get a chance, it's a good idea. If you want to study Stoicism, read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, but understand that they were highly influenced by this man, Epictetus, who was a slave. So here you have this great man, Marcus Aurelius, rich, powerful, he's wealthy, right? Probably the richest, most wealthy, powerful man in the world at the time. and still he was influenced and lived his life according to the philosophies of a slave, and not only that, a disabled slave. So how did this happen? Well, you could see what he went through as a slave, and still he could be happy in those situations. That's just one thing. Epictetus would tell us that our chief duty is to understand the externals and internals and how they work and how they affect how we feel and how we think. And so it's important to understand external events and how we can use our internals to influence how we see the world in that case. So we have to understand situations where we have control over them, and we have to evaluate, is there anything I can do about the situation? And if there is, there's certainly things we can do about it. We can take action, right? As I say in my videos, life is a creative process. So in order to have the life we want, just like an artist paints a beautiful painting with every detail, we have the opportunity to create the life that we want down to every detail. And we do that by our way of thinking and taking action appropriately. There's also situations that come into our lives that are unpleasant, but there's nothing we can do about it, right? And this is where Epictetus tells us that it's all about how we think about it. Epictetus says, it is not things that upset us. It is not situations that upset us. It is not people that upset us. It is how we choose to perceive that situation, how we choose to perceive that person, how we choose to perceive that thing. It is not things that upset us, but how we choose to perceive that situation. Essentially, the thoughts that we choose to have. As I've said in my other videos, our thoughts are what lead to our emotions. So if we have negative thoughts, we're going to have negative feelings. And what comes out of that are decisions that may or may not be good ideas, right? In my other video called the constructive manifestation process, I outline this in detail, so be sure to check that out on this channel. It's called the constructive manifestation process. That's my contribution kind of to this idea in our decision making. And so it's important to understand that our thoughts lead to our emotions, and our thoughts and emotions together lead to our actions. And our actions that are taken from negative thoughts, from this negative way of thinking, are going to lead to unreliable feelings and action, right? We don't want to be there. We want to be in a constructive way of thinking, not this destructive way of thinking, because those actions will be more destructive. They won't be edifying. We want to have constructive manifestations in our lives that are positive, that build us up and those around us. And so if we understand, like Epictetus says, it is not things that upset us, but how we choose to think about them. When we start having those thoughts, we can immediately take a moment, reflect on it, and start trying to view things in the best possible way. And so if we view things positively, we're going to have positive or constructive feelings about that thing. And then when we take action, that's going to be more reliable than taking action from a destructive manifestation process. We want to do it from positive thoughts that lead to positive feelings, that lead to more reliable actions that are going to build us up in our lives. Epictetus said this over and over. It's one thing that he is famous for. And again, if you want to check out his writings, please be sure to do that. And check out the writings of Marcus Aurelius and look up different things on Stoicism. Stoicism is a great way to get through any situation. If you're going through something difficult in life, if you're dealing with a disability, anything at all that's difficult, you can adopt this way of thinking. And this is just one principle put forth by Epictetus in Stoicism. It's not a religion. It's something that anybody can adopt and apply. A lot of times we take on philosophy, or we think of philosophy as these things, but really if we don't take action and practice them, they're not going to do us any good. If we don't apply them into our lives, they're not going to do us any good. So it's important that we take the example of Epictetus, who was once a slave, who was once, for his whole life, he was disabled after that, but still he was able to find a way to be happy, unlike the wealthy and powerful that he saw living among him. And so You can imagine if he can choose to be happy, being a slave, being disabled in that situation, while the healthy, wealthy, and powerful couldn't do that. He teaches us a powerful lesson. No matter what situation you're in, you can always grab it by a smooth or rough handle. I'll say that. So Epictetus said you can always grab things, any situation, by one of two handles. You can grab what I'll call the rough handle, all right? View the situation negatively. It brings up negative emotions, right? We get mad, we get sad, we get upset, and it just propagates those types of feelings, those types of thoughts, and they kind of cycle and repeat. Or we could choose to grab, as Thomas Jefferson called it, the smooth handle. And so we can view any situation from that smooth handle, viewing it in the best way possible, right? When somebody upsets us, we can be upset about that, or we can think, man, maybe they're having a bad day. I hope they're doing all right. It's just that way of thinking, instead of thinking they're just a big jerk or something like that. And so you can either grab the rough handle when you see any situation, or grab the smooth handle, and that's grabbing it with your mind, the way you choose to think, the way you direct your thoughts, right? We want to choose positive thoughts. We want to choose positive thoughts so that we can have positive feelings and make good decisions. That's that constructive manifestation process I was talking about. Epictetus lived thousands of years ago, but still he continues to influence great men and women throughout history to this day. You can be influenced by this way of thinking in your life. You can increase the quality of your life by increasing this quality of your thoughts, right? We increase the quality of our thoughts, our emotions are going to be better, and our actions are going to be better, and we're going to continue to ascend and build our lives up so that we can be useful to ourselves and those around us. I hope you enjoyed this positive message, this positive lesson we get from the philosopher, the Stoic philosopher, who was once a slave and permanently disabled, Epictetus. That we can choose how we choose to perceive any situation, no matter what it is. So it's important when you start to feel those negative feelings come on, take a second, reflect, let go of that rough handle, and grab onto that smooth handle. View every situation in the most positive, constructive way possible. We can't always view every situation as necessarily good, but we can view it as constructive, in a constructive way that'll build us up, that'll build up those around us. So that's a lesson we can learn from one of the Stoics, Epictetus. Be sure to check out his writings. You can learn more about him. Look up videos on YouTube. Lots of books out there on Stoicism, and lots of videos out there as well on Stoicism. So be sure to check it out. It's something with lots of great principles that you can practice. But not only just listen to, don't just watch this video and then say, yeah, that's great, and move on. It's important to put this into practice, right? And that's why they call it a practice, is because at first it's going to be difficult, like with any new skill that you try to adopt into your life, or physically adopt a new skill. You're going to have to practice at it. And at first it's going to be hard. I make the comparison to when you have a bad habit, even habit of thought, right? Our mind takes the path of least resistance, and it takes the path that's clear, that we've taken so many times that we're used to taking. May not be the best path to take. And so in order to make a new path, to create this new skill of viewing things in a positive way possible, of grabbing that smooth handle, it's going to be a little bit like taking a machete and making your own path through the jungle, right? At first it's difficult, but the more and more you take that path, the clearer it's going to get, the easier it's going to get, and it's going to become a positive habit of your mind, and you're going to be happier for it. Take that positive path. Learn the lessons that Epictetus is teaching us. It is not situations that upset us. It's not things that upset us. It's not people. It's how we choose to perceive any situation that comes our way. So it's important to shift our mind away from that rough handle, grab onto that smooth handle, as I've said before. If you enjoyed this message, please be sure to share it on social media. I want to get this message out there. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, interact with this video, let me know any comments or questions you have. It helps YouTube see that people are watching, interacting with these videos, and to share these positive messages with as many people as possible. Once again, I'm Edgar Ortega, Handsome Blind Guy. Thanks for sticking through to the end. Be sure to share this video, and I'll see you, or you'll see me, in a future video.